Right, I think we are just about set up and ready to go. Just double checking. Okay, welcome to you and thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm Frozana from SF Digital and I'll be presenting today on defining your customer avatar. So, this just loads up. So before we get into my topic today, thank you again, like I say, for joining me today. And I hope you're going to find today's topic useful for your business. We try and keep Friday afternoons a little bit more about working on your business rather than being a deep dive within your business, which tends to be the Monday to Thursday slots. In particular, Zaire tends to present on all things Google Ads, and of course video marketing, which are our two core main activities within SF Digital. So let's take a look at what does customer avatar actually mean. Now, you may hear this phrase being thrown around. It seems to be very, very popular in the last 2-3 years, the word avatar and what that actually means, and it seems to be thrown around very freely, especially within marketing in general and digital marketing. But basically an avatar, a client avatar, customer avatar, a buyer avatar, or even a persona, these are all words that are pretty much within the industry used interchangeably. But what does it actually mean? So an avatar is a way of identifying your client and describing them in a way that's meaningful to you and identifies them as your perfect ideal customer that's going to be willing to buy your products or your services. And it's more than what we used to use within the marketing world, the word demographic. Often people would refer to what's your perfect demographic for your business. This is more than just the demographic, i.e. where the geography of that person is. It's a big part of what we do, but it's not just the only factor now. We're actually looking at it, without getting too geek speaky, in a psychographic, the psychology around that person that is your avatar within the audience that you're trying to reach. So, who is your ideal client? Well, ideally, it's going to be more than likely the person that's most willing to buy your product or your service or the offering that you have to give them. And it's more than just, as I say, thinking about where will I find them and how old are they and are they male or female, which sex are they. There's a little bit more to it, and by sitting down within your framework of your business and allocating some time to this process, you will find that probably, dare I say, everything that you undertake as an activity within your business is actually going to hang on this avatar journey, and it's going to be crucial to understanding who your audience really is. Over recent weeks, I often talk about audiences, I've talked about branding, I've talked about flywheel method, content creation. Hopefully you will see that although each of my weekly topics are a topic in their own right, if you were to watch them in sequence or as a title grabs your interest, you will find that everything is actually very, very interlinked. And dare I say it, today's topic could well, I hope by the end of this session, make you realise just how important it is to identify the avatar within your business. Now, as part of this, it's also important to remember that once you've established who your ideal customer is, your avatar, it's also important to review this frequently. I would suggest almost on a 90-day rotation, as I've already spoken previously about how important it is to do a 90-day plan. Equally, as part of that plan, I would suggest you review your avatar, because as your business excuse me one moment, my screen has just flicked for no reason again. Three fingers, right. My apologies for that slight interruption. Just breathing seemed to have interrupted the tracker pad on this particular computer that I'm on. Okay, so going back to where we were. reviewing your avatars. As your business evolves and grows, and like I say, even if you're reviewing on a 90-day plan, that's a number of opportunities within your business to review that avatar. You'll also find that your business more than likely will have more than one avatar. And certainly we as a business have a number of avatars that we are looking to work with and attract. And that helps to make our process of who we attract to our business so much easier when they're identified and they're consciously worked with. It's no use saying that everyone's your audience. My alarm bells certainly ring when we are, first handling an inquiry, let's say for example, a new website, where we will say, well, who's your end audience? Who are you looking to attract? And we'll often be told, oh, well, everyone could potentially be my customer. Well, that makes it very, very vague, and it means that you cannot focus your attention properly on any particular niche or subgroup, indeed avatar. But it also means that even if you could attract every single person to be your potential customer, there's no way you could possibly service it anyway. So it's a very unrealistic and far too vague a notion to suggest that everybody could be your customer. So before I go into the actual process of how you would go about setting up your avatar, just a quick reminder that our coaching program is very much live and running, and we are very pleased to see that there are a number of people joining us each week now, and the coaching program is growing. And so we've got the website, which is at sfdigital.co/YouTube, and we've got various elements, various chapters within the program, and you would have access to all the content, which is a lot of content, many chapters within the program itself. So those are your supporting resources and your learning materials, which you have lifetime access to. And beyond that, we have 4 coaching calls per week where you can choose to dip into all of them, some of them none if you have a particularly busy week, and you really will get some valuable interactions and knowledge, and of course get the opportunity to ask any question at all that you have, hopefully relating to marketing, but it doesn't have to be. We often go into slightly more business related topics as well, challenges that somebody may be facing, and we share our knowledge very freely, and it's all part of the growth process that we like to encourage our participants to join in with us. So please do take a look at that if you haven't already done so. So I've broken this into 2 parts. So part 1 is really the deep dive into actually understanding your client avatar. And there are 4 particular areas that I'll be looking at today, which helps to understand how you're going to get the information that you need. So let's start with the first section, step 1. Who is your audience? Now, this is probably where most people think an avatar concept is worked out from. So as you can see on the screen, we've got age, marital status, your location, it could be where you hang out on social media, it could be your general interests, which conferences you go to, income, anything at all that's related to that person. You would sit down and say, right, well, this is my avatar. I need to identify who they are. What's their persona? What's their character? Who is this person that I'm trying to attract? So, for example, when we had the photographer studio and we used to do a lot of social photography, as it's known here, especially portraits in our studio, there was a particular type of person, a particular persona, a particular avatar, who, in my mind, was Kevin. And it's important also to name your avatars, because it helps to take you straight to that personality when you are referring to them in your marketing materials and developing your products and services. So in my mind, my perfect avatar was a gentleman called Kevin. He was probably in his late 40s, possibly early 50s. His children are probably in their early teens, just heading towards teens, 11, 12 kind of age group. Older child might be slightly older than that, in their mid-teens. Preferably girl and a boy, not just 2 boys or 3 boys. wife is now over the fact that she needs to be at home to be looking after the children, and she's probably got her own job or even career in her own right, so they've got a decent disposable income within their family, and Kevin would be working in an office, so he's got a reliable income and everything is running nicely for this family. They don't have any, grabbing nappy bags, etc. You would think that as a photographer, the ideal persona is the younger they are, the cuter they are, the more wow factor, the more likely they are to buy their pictures. But pressures on a young family or a new family are high. The cost of nappies is not cheap. And so they were actually not my ideal persona. Yes, of course, they were my clients, but my ideal was Kevin. And this is not to stereotype that, mum stays at home. It's the reality. This is how, certainly in my search for the perfect avatar, typically these were the families that were presenting to me, and this was their situation. Now my biggest challenge for Kevin, finding Kevin, was making sure, well, where does Kevin hang out? Does he go to the gym? Does he go to the local gym? Does he go to an expensive paid gym? He probably isn't at the supermarket so much, so he's unlikely to see any advertising materials that may go up on notice boards or local magazines. So I had to then further find out what makes Kevin tick. And is he into hobbies? Is he into sport? Is he into music? This is all part of building up that personality. But that's not where the journey stops. So the next thing I need to find out about my avatar and you within your businesses are, what are your avatar's fears and frustrations? Now, is there something about somebody else's product or service that they don't like anymore? What's the real pain point for them while they're looking for this particular product or service? What's causing them difficulty? Is it that it's a very unusual thing to find, or is it that the standard is very low, so it's hard to find something of good quality? What is it that is their challenge, as I've said here, that they're facing on a daily basis, perhaps, that is hindering them in their lives and affecting everything that they are doing? So, it can be a very easy search. For example, we all have Google at our fingertips. So before you know it, we could be searching whatever that frustration or fear may be. Now, it could be something very simplistic. I shall pick something at random. It could be that I don't have some artist paintbrushes. So that's causing me frustration because perhaps I'm doing a DIY project and I can't find the perfect brushes and I can't finish it off, which means I can't finish off the bedroom, which means that it's causing me frustration because I'm trying to set up my environment and be comfortable, especially during lockdown where we are more in our personal spaces than average. So this ultimately, although it sounds very basic and a very simple frustration, the deeper frustrations are far more complex. And so by identifying what those fears and frustrations are for that client, then you can think about, okay, now we've identified the features of that, how are we then going to attract them? But we shall come to that in a moment. So as a summary, what's really keeping them up at night? Hopefully not paintbrushes, but there'll be bigger challenges. It could be health related, bad knee, that's causing them literally physical problems and literally keeping them up at night. So we come to step 3. In an ideal world, what would be their wants and their aspirations? How could they, if they could have anything and it was the perfect world and they could get the perfect product or service, what would that look like to them? How is that going to really make them feel alive and content and just give them that lovely warm fuzzy feeling? And what relates to that is what are the values associated with that product or service? So for example, if you as a business are selling leather handbags, if part of the values of that avatar is that they are vegan, so they are not going to be touching anything that's animal product related, that's purely a value that they hold, there is absolutely no use in you as a business trying to find places where that avatar, the wrong avatar for your business, is hanging out. So this is why it's really important to think about what are those desires that your avatar has, and how you're going to be there to hopefully service and look after those. And that's really ultimately what fulfills them and brings them contentment. And then we come to step 4. So the key purchase drivers, or in a perhaps easier to understand word, would be what's their motivation behind actually buying something. Now, there are a number of factors that will influence the purchase. So is it going to be quality related? Are they going to be looking at how they're looked after as a customer? Is the experience of the whole buying process really important to them? Why is it we go to some coffee shops over and above others? Why do we choose to go where we know we're going to be greeted well, we're going to have a spacious place to sit down? At the end of the day, it's still the same coffee and a cake that you would get perhaps at a more budget place than to a more luxurious place. But why do we have our favourites? There is something in there, a motivator that persuades us to make that purchase from a particular place. And that could be from a number of perspectives, and often it's not actually always about the price. Yes, we all have a budget, but that does not mean that we would not spend a little bit beyond our budget if we knew that one of our other values is being met. And of course, certainly with more considered purchases, the bigger purchases, let's say for example buying a car for the family, there may be other factors, i.e. other decision makers or stakeholders within that process who obviously you need to consult with. So of course, the higher the value, more likely there are going to be more barriers, more objections, more decision makers involved in that process, so it can slow the process down. However, if you have looked at the avatar and you know how their behavior tends to be modeled, you'll be able to actually overcome those objections, because you will have a very clear roadmap of how that person behaves. So really, in summary, what motivates them, the avatar, to commit to you over and above anybody else? So that was a whistle-stop tour of identifying your avatar and looking at how you can create that avatar and then work very closely with that avatar as to how that's going to influence what you're doing as a business in terms of your marketing. Now, as I said, now that you've seen a very quick overview of the 4 stages of creating your customer avatar, now hopefully you will see that within your business you may well have more than one avatar. So, for example, the slide that I put up at the very beginning, which was all promoting our Google Ads, like a boss program, the coaching program, that actually appeals to a particular avatar that we have looked at. So it's not by accident that slide is here in this presentation as part of a YouTube live stream, because we know that our avatar is on YouTube, uses YouTube, looks at information and searches for solutions to challenges within YouTube, and marketing, digital marketing, and the solutions that we offer are often part of what our avatar's behavior is on YouTube, and hence that has come up on here. So this is why as we go further in, you'll see that having your multiple avatars sat and worked out, and I would say the process probably takes half an hour, 45 minutes, possibly an hour per avatar to go through meaningfully, going through the stages that I've just described, so that you can actually really pinpoint who you are targeting. Because actually, if you do that process really well, anyone that doesn't quite fit into your avatar, let's say for example my avatar Kevin, who I said was in his late 40s, possibly early 50s, well, there will always be some that don't quite fit that model. There would be some that are in their 30s or maybe in their 60s. That's fine, but we're not going to change our whole process to accommodate the anomalies within the system. We're going to try and work within that tight window and not be tempted to change our direction just because one person happened to be of a different avatar. If it happens more frequently, time to create another avatar, because chances are some of the factors that are used to create that avatar are going to differ. So we're going to take a little look now as to the journey of the before and after for your client, or for your avatar, I should say. So before and after, what is it we are doing as a business that is actually the one thing that our avatar is looking for? And that is going to be the value we give through our product or service. That is what they are actually aspiring to receive from us. And we are going to get them to recognize that value through a process of a before and after transformation, through the experience that they get from actually receiving our product or service and the value that they associate with that. And as part of that journey, it's really important to think about a before and after for those 5 points that I've put on the slide. So, how do they feel before they have, or in some cases, have not got your product or service? And how will they be feeling after? So let's say it's, for example, I'm looking for a new pair of trainers. How do I feel before? I feel awful because I can't do the walking that I plan to do. Then the shoes I've got are no good. They're uncomfortable. I get blisters. There's some real pain associated there. But how will I feel after I buy into a particular product? I feel great because I can go out and exercise. My mood will lift. I will be able to look after my health. So I know that there are some great benefits from me having a particular product, a particular pair of trainers. How does it actually make me feel? So suddenly, from feeling a bit fed up that I'm not able to get out and about, I should be hopefully feeling really great that I've not got any boundaries now. There's nothing stopping me. I'm able to get out and about and do what I need to look after myself. How's my average day? Well, it would have been better if I'd managed to go out and do my walk before, but I wasn't able to because I didn't have the perfect trainers. Now, my average day is great because I can get my work done, I can factor in my walk, I know that I'm not going to get blisters, I'm being looked after, so I feel great. What's my status now? How has that changed how I feel about my day, and how is that going to affect my mood and everything that comes associated with the status of what I've done? So I was unhappy and a bit sad and a bit meh before, but my status has changed. Now I'm feeling great, I'm positive, I'm energized, I'm able to do so much more. And finally, there's good versus evil. Now, obviously, a pair of trainers, we can't really call it evil. It doesn't. It's a slightly more difficult concept to put things into a category of good versus evil. But from a marketing perspective, it's like finding the two absolute extremes of having or not having your product or service before, how that feels, and what that's really doing. So for example, I'll use the photography example again. If you were talking really extreme of what's good versus what's evil, in inverted commas, it might be that the evil, the bad part, is that if we don't have a family shoot done, we're not having our memories, the children are growing up so fast, how will we ever capture these moments forever and actually enjoy them? And look back on this time, because it's all happening so fast, and that feels a bad place to be because we know we're never going to get that time back. But the good from that, if we do have the photo shoot done, is that we've got these lovely memories that we can hang on to forever, and actually we can, for a short moment in time, freeze time for a moment and actually savor and enjoy those moments, the cute moments with our children, and even as they're growing up and you can see them going into adulthood, how special that feels, and we can manage to capture that. So good versus evil, the word, it sounds heavy, but it's really to try and emphasize in your own mind how your avatar is going to feel around your product or service. So ultimately, you're going to find that you're going to have potentially many avatars within your business. But if you actually look at the avatar journey as I've described today, you should hopefully be able to then attract the right client that actually connects with your message. And that's really important because it's about speaking the right language or the same language as your avatar. It's a bit like going on holiday and saying, well, I can go on holiday anywhere in the world and I'll be able to connect with that person at the other end. You probably will, but if you don't speak the same language, chances are you're making that so much more difficult. So what are you going to do if you were to do that? Are you going to start learning a few words of the language of the country that you're going to? Or are you going to assume that the other end are going to be able to speak your language, or they're going to learn to speak tourist language? So having the right language and connecting is really, really important. And especially where we are so social media focused now, where we are on our devices so much, it's really important to speak literally the same language through your content. How is that going to appeal to your audience? Are you using the kind of words that fit the age group that you're trying to attract? Is the imagery in the colours and the style that they would like to see? This is all part of the journey of discovering your avatar. If you're doing the right things and being able to connect through your message and through your language and through your visuals, you will then hopefully have a better chance of engaging with your audience. And ultimately, that's going to help them to actually take some action. So you've attracted them, you've engaged with them, and now you're creating the action for them to actually buy into what you have to offer. And that's going to come through the benefits that you give to them rather than the features. So just to wrap up then, so knowing who you're speaking to helps you then, as I say, if you know who your avatar is, it's going to help you to create your products and services, or your marketing materials, or your sales materials. It might be your website, social media posts, as I say, or it might be your a product brochure, for example. That's really going to help you to understand, if you know who the avatar is, you're going to be able to connect better with those people because you know who exactly you're trying to speak to. Now, next thing, it means that if you understand from, I think it was point number 2 on my slides, where those fears and frustrations are, and where the aspirations and goals are, if you can understand that, your message is going to be really sympathetic and also hopefully empathetic to understand your avatar. And then you have that connection. So again, it means that your brand story, everything that you are doing within your brand, like I say, I have on a couple of occasions already spoken about your branding and why that's so important to be, living and breathing your brand as a business and being consistent with your brand. This is where this starts to really fit in with your end audience. And of course, once you've got them hooked, hopefully they're going to want some more. And if they want some more, chances are you're going to have more occasions to present your brand to them, and at some point they are going to convert. So it's really important to have that journey mapped out as to, if they're ready to take action, what are you going to give them to make that really easy for them to do? And how are you going to communicate with them to allow them to do that? So finally, I had made a very little summary of some great ways to get some new customers. Number 1, identify your ideal client. Hopefully today it's given you a little insight as to how you can do that, and it really is the linchpin in how you can turbocharge your business. Identify your ideal client and everything else will fall into place. Do not get distracted by the side distractions of people say, oh, why don't you sell this, or do you not offer that service? No, we don't. This is what we do. So, but it's geared up for the right avatar. The right audience is out there waiting for you. You just need to get yourself in front of them. Discover where your customer lives. Well, this is not the stalker way. This is not in some sinister way. As we've touched on, this is about your avatar and understanding where they literally hang out, not necessarily just about geography and where they live. Know your business inside out. This is, again, as I've already mentioned, about your branding and making sure that everything you need to know about your business when you're presenting to the outside world are on your fingertips. So again, when it was the portrait business, I knew my products list. It was never a price list. I'm not in the business of selling prices. It was a product list. It was a bespoke the word's gone now. They were not packages, basically. They were collections. That's the word I was looking for. Everything was very, very clear in my mind, so that the sales room process was really, really clear, and there was never were prices made up on the hoof. They shouldn't be. They never were. They were professional. They were presented correctly. They were all in a guide, so that everybody could see what everything was up front, and it was very, very clear. So it's really important to know your business. Position yourself as the answer or the expert, and partly that's what we try and do. Hopefully you will support us in our journey. It's one of the ways we do that is through our YouTube channel. So this is why a lot of our inquiries, well, all of our inquiries, are inbound. We do not need to go out selling. We are marketing through our YouTube channel. Those that like us, get to know us, start to trust us with the information that we put out there, happily come to us themselves. And there's obviously direct response marketing. You can do mail shots, etc. And I'll just build partnerships and follow up. Not strictly anything to do with the avatar journey. I left them in there because there were just 7 ways that you can get new customers. But building partnerships, obviously that's a great way of getting referral work if you wish to with partners. Don't see other businesses that might be doing something similar to yourself. They are not necessarily competition. They're actually a great way of doing work collaboratively, and you can often share work or refer work to each other, which you might not want to do, and vice versa. So actually it strengthens your offering because you've got somebody reliable that you can count on to deliver that. And of course, one item that I also have already previously talked about is everything is in the follow-up. So having got somebody warm and engaged with you, make sure you do follow up in the timeline that they have asked you to follow up in, which is often neglected, especially in the UK. I think we get very British, very English. We are scared of the word no, and in my book it's never a no. It's only a no when it's a maybe until it becomes a no, basically, because you just never know what the answer might be should you ask and get that answer, and until it turns into a no, it's always a maybe. And just one final thing, because as you know, I like to do a motivation tip, and that is this week, what came to my mind, something that was from earlier this week for me, is feel the fear and then do it anyway. I think that's so important, that you do have to have that slight feeling in the stomach to make you think twice and question, rightly so, because your gut instinct should kick in, and it should make you challenge something that you're about to do that may be slightly outside of your comfort zone. Rather than thinking of it as going outside of your comfort zone, think of it more as expanding your comfort zone, just like a bubble, just pushing that little bit further. We don't have to pop the bubble, we're just pushing out to see how far we can go. We're still within that same zone, we're just expanding our comfort zone. And like I say, feel that fear, but have a go anyway. And we as a business are about to do some very exciting new things. Our 90-day plan almost coming to an end now at the end of March. I hope your 90 days have gone very fruitfully and beneficially for you in your businesses. Time to review what went well in the first quarter of this year, what could be even better, and we will be in that process of reviewing very, very soon now as those 90 days come up. And we're already developing some new ideas and exciting new things for us. So feeling the fear, but going to do it anyway, because I think that's going to be what's going to make our year. I'm going to have a quick look to see if there are any comments today, and let's see what we've got. Okay, so Shafiq, thank you for your question. You've just asked, you said that you've come in, I think, part way. Please do watch the review, and absolutely, I've said it a number of times today, absolutely review your avatars, and absolutely very frequently, because certainly in our 18 plus years of this business now, the avatar has changed so many times. I picked on one today, but actually, even as we speak right now, we've actively got probably about 8 to 10 avatars off the top of my head for very different parts of the business. So it's important to review for sure. Thank you, Renata, for your lovely comment. And Shafiq again, do you think we should limit to the number of avatars we should have? I suppose having too many would mean we'd be spreading ourselves too thin. Not necessarily. You're right. There is that danger that if you're a smaller business and you're trying to do everything yourself, absolutely. If you've got too many avatars that are too dissimilar, yes, of course, you're going to be firefighting and running around from A to B and trying to service all these very, very different people. However, if you're a slightly bigger business or you've got a bigger range of products, you could probably have many avatars. So for example, I'm thinking of, this is just off the top of my head, there's a lovely little shop in our high street which is sells beautiful gifts that are very pure. Some are organic, they are non-plastic, they are, some of them are more health related. Now that shop alone has actually, off the top of my head, very, very clearly, there are 2 avatars in there, just thinking of that person's stock. There's the fun element of the children. I'm talking probably, I would say, age 8 to about 14, who love the fun fizzy bath bombs and love all those natural smelling products. That's a completely different avatar. And some of those are very pocket money kind of price point. Very easy. Literally teenagers could go in themselves and pick them up. That's not a big deal. But then there's another avatar where there are mums, probably of a certain age, whose child might have allergies, so it's really important that the products are really pure. Mum is quite health conscious and doesn't like damaging the environment and is thinking about, waste and plastics, etc. Those are part of that mum's values. So she's a very different avatar, but the products are the same. So actually there are sort of almost like cross avatars, and different products suit different people. So hopefully that answered your question. But absolutely, you could have many avatars even in a small business, and there is nothing wrong with that. All I would say is be sensible, and as you divide up your avatars, think about them and think, you know what, actually, let's now look at the numbers against the avatar. And the reality is, as I did with Kevin earlier, he had the money. The average spend when I got a Kevin through the door was much higher than the average spend with some of the other avatars. And this is why it's really important to do this marketing exercise, because at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. So I hope that's helped you. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you found that useful, and that's given you some food for thought while you go about your weekend activities. I hope that something out of today goes through your mind and you're able to reflect on it and maybe apply it to your business and see what difference it actually makes. So thank you once again. I hope that you will join me again next week for another marketing topic to give you some food for thought, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again next week. Thank you.